From one man's fight to liberate his religion, to the wiping of an entire civilization. Welcome to DiscoveryMojo.com, and these are our top 10 events in human history. For this list, we are taking one event from each specific period, meaning that no more than one event per period may be included. For ranking purposes, we will be focusing on the most history-changing events, or rather the events that marked a major turning point in history.
These savages, Roman citizenship and settle them on Roman land.
Starting off this list, we have Leonardo da Vinci, and probably the most famous painting ever created, the Mona Lisa.
Although these buildings are stuffed with tip-top masterpieces, 8 out of 10 people queuing are here to see just one thing. The Louvre's most famous portrait, probably the world's most famous portrait, the Mona Lisa.
Painted during the Renaissance in Florence, Italy, in the early 16th century, the Mona Lisa is now probably not only the most famous painting, but also one of the most important ones as well, as it allows us to look back at Renaissance times and see how art and painting has evolved over time. Leonardo da Vinci, one of the most widely talented men in history, is thought to have been commissioned this painting by Lisa del Giocondo in order to celebrate the birth of their second son, Andrea. Following up, at number 9, we have the Crusades. They were a series of religiously motivated wars, led by the Catholic Church between the late 11th and early 13th centuries during the medieval Christianity era, in order to stop the expansion of Muslim states, as well as reclaiming Christianity in the Middle East, and healing the split between the Roman Catholic and the Byzantine/Greek Orthodox Church. After 4 crusades, however, the Muslims came out victorious, gaining control of the Holy Lands. Interactions caused trade networks to be established. The Byzantine Empire was greatly weakened and feudalism broke down, with kings now having more power than the Pope and nobles. At number 8, we have one of the most well-known conquistador stories of the Americas, Hernán Cortés' conquest of the Aztecs. Upon arrival at Tenochtitlan, the capital, Cortés was treated with respect and hospitality by Moctezuma, the Aztec emperor. He was taken in and fed, and walked around the city. Cortés was highly impressed by the level of architecture of the city, all of which he explained to the king in his famous Segunda Carta de Relation. What was once the greatest civilization in the Mexico area, however, the Aztecs were conquered within 2 years of Cortés and his men first setting foot in the capital. His taking of Mexico secured his place as a figure in history, and it helped the Spaniards to be able to delve deeper into the mainland. Coming up at number 7, we are going far east, all the way to feudal Japan, to see when Minamoto first took control over Japan. Minamoto no Yoritomo came from a noble background, and actually from royal lineage. He established shogo, who were constables in their particular provinces, and jito, who were district stewards mainly in charge of tax collection, in an attempt to undermine the central government's local administrative power. With it being successful, all power went to him, establishing himself as the first shogun of Japan in 1192. At number 6 is one of the most important events in religious history, and certainly one of the most important in the Islamic world, the spread of Islam. Muhammad, born in Mecca around the year 570, became distressed with the Arabs' worshipping of idols, so he decided to fast and meditate. At about 40, the angel Gabriel revealed himself to him, telling him of Allah. Believing he was the last, and greatest, of a series of prophets including Abraham, Jesus, and Moses, he began to preach Islam in 613. He was rejected, so he had to leave Mecca in 622. In Medina his followers grew greatly and, in 630, he led 10,000 of his followers back to Mecca, where many converted to Islam, solidifying it as one of the most important and popular religions, which has stayed that way till this day. At number 5 is the Great Schism. One of the most important events in medieval Europe, specifically when it was divided into East and West, was the Great Schism, which is when a permanent split occurred between the Roman Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church. Some of the causes for this split were disagreements in things such as papal authority, the use of icons in worship, the language used, amongst other things, which caused the pressure and tensions between both sides to rise until it shattered, causing the split. This had long-lasting effects, as both sides remain today as the two largest denominations of Christianity. Coming up at number 4 is one of the most pivotal moments in early African history, the Bantu migration. The Bantu migration occurred during the 2nd millennium BCE, before 1500 BCE, and consisted of the Bantu spreading across the central, eastern, and southern parts of the continent, bringing along their language, culture, and technology. They first migrated due to a search for new land and resources, increased competition for resources, amongst other things, and their migration allowed for African culture to flourish and be the way we see it today. Now in the top 3, the first event in the podium is the fall of Rome. Due to tensions rising within, it being such a large state that it was difficult to control everyone, and various invasions from tribes such as the barbarians and the Huns, amongst other things, the Roman Empire fell in 476, bringing about the end of a civilization that had thrived for nearly a millennium. The fall of the Roman Empire marked the beginning of the medieval era, and it paved the way for Constantinople and the Byzantine Empire to rise, although no other empire came close to the greatness that once presided in the Roman Empire.
These people have proved their aims very clearly: to destroy us and to destroy the whole Roman way of life.
At number 2, we have Martin Luther, and his nailing of the 95 Theses to the door of the church.
Practices of those who claim to represent your grace.
My God, who is this Martin Luther?
Glad you should ask. Martin Luther was a monk for the Catholic Church in Germany in the 16th century. After witnessing firsthand the corruption within the church, and seeing how they manipulated the public, Martin Luther nailed 95 Theses to the church door, attacking the church's use of indulgences and its lack of following of the Bible, amongst other things, allowing for people to see what was happening, and jump-starting the Protestant reform, which gave rise to Protestantism as one of the main branches of Christianity. Its occurrence during the era of the Reformation had major repercussions across the globe, and its effects are still present to this day.
With this indulgence, I can absolve any sin. I can even save the soul of the man who violates the Mother of God herself.
Finally, at number 1 of the list, taking the gold medal, is an event that most of us probably already knew would be here, in the midst of the age of exploration, the discovery of America by Christopher Columbus. With trade routes to India blocked, the Spanish crown was looking for alternative ways to reach it, searching for the famous spices that originated there. Christopher Columbus told them that he believed the earth was round, so if he went the other way, he'd eventually reach India. The Spanish crown agreed, and he set sail with 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, on August 3, 1492, across the Atlantic. On October 12 of the same year they arrived in the Bahamas. Though not reaching India, Columbus discovered a new continent and took it for Spain, beginning the colonial period that would cause all modern-day countries, in both South and North America, to flourish. Do you agree with our list? Which are your top 10 history-changing events in human history? For more top 10s about historical matters, as well as movies, sports, and gaming, consider subscribing and visiting discoverymojo.com.